Hey guys, this is Sapien, and I made this video for people who are starting to run Super Mario 64 in 16 star, and I found when I started and from talking to a lot of people who are new to the game that a lot of the resources out there, and there are a ton of really great resources. It's a super supportive community, but a lot of the resources are focused for people who are really into the sub 20 range and trying to get sub 20 or have already gotten past sub 20. So Ukikiedpia, for example, which has a ton of phenomenal strats and movement and examples, a lot of the beginner strats really aren't feasible for people who are just starting off the game. They're great examples of what super clean movement can look like, but they're not things that people can go for when they're first starting out. So there's also really great tutorials by people like Squeaks and Dominator J, and there's movement guides out there too, which are super helpful from getting better at the game and learning the movement. But I've just kind of found that a lot of them can be more difficult when you're first starting out. So like getting to a sub 20, there are some people who can get that in a few weeks. There are some people who it takes months. It personally took me over a year to get to sub 20. I know other people that it took them over a year. So this is really just going to focus on some more basic movement that might be feasible for people just starting the game. And I got I believe it was a 21-28 using that movement. So this is just a good example of how much time you can shave off by just using good movement, even if you're using some like alternative strats in the beginning that some higher level runners aren't using. And I know that Blue Bob has a really great video I believe it's a 1754, and that's using like essentially all beginner strats from Ukikiedpia. Well, mostly from Ukikiedpia, so that's another really great resource to look at. And then people like Sean Rader and Simply have movement guides that are really great. I'll be making a movement guide video too, so there's really a lot of great resources out there, and I just kind of wanted to add a little bit to that with one that's a little bit more beginner friendly. So I'm going to play the run that I did for it, and I'll just have some commentary on it. So here we go.
It's me, Mario!
Something that you'll hear people say a lot, and I think there's a lot of truth to it, is that movement saves minutes and tricks or strats save seconds. I think there's a lot of truth to that, and you can really shave off a ton of time if you focus on getting your movement consistent, just navigating around the castle or moving Mario and kind of getting clean movement, not bonking, not having like sloppy mistakes. So that's really going to be the biggest area for time save, but tricks can also be important too, and they're fun to practice. So just, I think starting off, it's more important to focusing on that movement, even if it's not as like glamorous and kind of fun and fulfilling as the tricks can be, but it's also important to practice those. I also think it's important just to know when you're starting off, speedrunning can be really frustrating, right? So there's going to be a lot of frustration when you're not ahead in runs. It's kind of a lot of persistence that it takes to get better. So just depending on what you're trying to get out of it, just remember that everyone improves at their own pace. There's going to be a lot of frustration. And I think like one of the biggest things that I did and I see a lot of people do is they'll be really down on themselves, right? They'll be like, oh, like I'm terrible, like. And they're comparing themselves to like, you know, Simply or like Ouija, or they're watching some like top runners, or they're watching people who have minutes ahead of them. And well, I think it can be important to kind of look at people who are better than you to learn and for inspiration. It's not as helpful to just constantly tell yourself that you suck, right? Like that really doesn't make the game as fun. It can be demotivating. So try to just, if you can, focus on your own gameplay and how you're improving compared to where you used to be. Because you're playing, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I think that most of us are playing because we enjoy speedrunning. I think there can certainly be like an addictive element that comes in, but speedrunning, it's kind of a way to build perseverance, build skill, kind of maybe have character, and like even when you're in a certain emotional state, kind of build that persistence and resilience. But it's also something that we're doing for fun. So just be mindful of kind of the self-talk that you're engaging in and what you're telling yourself when you're running and how that's kind of impacting your mood. Because I just think speedrunning can be a really good framework for just kind of thinking about how we want to improve ourselves in running and in like other areas of life. So just kind of be aware of how often you're beating yourself up when you're starting, and try to focus on how you're playing in relation to how you used to play, and be aware of that kind of negative narrative that might be going on. All right, runtime. So I don't do lackadoo skip in this one. I'm going to be focusing a lot of the movement on long jumps rather than jump dives. Jump dives can be slightly faster, but it's a lot easier if you're not consistent with getting them in the rollouts to just use long jumps. So here, in the bottom right corner, you hit right trigger to go into Mario Cam, and what that does is you see Mario spinning. So it'll spin Mario so he's facing, so you can just go straight out right here. So you're going to long jump, and then long jump, go into that door, and go into the painting. B.O.B. So you're going to be going into Bomb on Battlefield first, and we do that until we're doing the LBLJ in the lobby, which everyone has different marks for it. I feel like somewhere around the, once you're sub 18-ish, people start doing it. Some people do it earlier, but that is approximately when people start doing it. Here, I also hit down, C down, and C left, and that straightens out the camera, so you can more easily go directly straight towards the walkway. So jump dives are a little faster, but long jumps really don't lose that much time in comparison. When you're doing ground pounds, you can hit Z like right after you hit A, so you can do like AZ, like right in quick succession, and that's going to make it so Mario doesn't jump as high, so you'll do a mini jump and you'll save more time from if you do like a full jump and then ground pound. Which is also important when you're grabbing stars, is to jump, and then if you hit Z under them, Mario will go down to the ground faster. Which, did I get that here? Yeah. So if you grab the star, you go like whoop if you hit Z. So here, once you get on this slope, again, long jumps. And then I went for the triple jump here. That can be kind of difficult to get consistent. I also did the side flip, which I'll show in the next star. For the Womp King, if you get the setup right, you can land. You can beat them so the star spawns and you're right on top of it. Again, when you're starting out, I wouldn't worry too much about that. It doesn't save. It saves a pretty minimal amount of time, maybe like a second, depending on where you land. And just when you're fighting the Womp King, I think I said Bomb King first, but when you're fighting the Womp King, whatever's easier for you, either jumping off the side or like phasing through them like I did there. It's just kind of important to be able to get that consistent, is where you're gonna save the most time.
Here we go! Let's go!
So here I went for the side flip. I moved the camera, I see left, because I find it easier to gauge where you are on the wall when you're doing that. here I see a lot of people where their camera won't be lined up, so it'll be kind of crooked, and that makes it difficult. When you're doing the side flip here, make sure that it's straight on so you can see where what angle you're hitting the tower at.
Here we go! Let's go!
Right here with the owl, I'll see a lot of the times I'll see people try to wall kick off of the rock wall. I did that too when I first started, and it's faster to just turn Mario and then jump down here, because it can make you more consistently land right under the owl, so you can just jump up like this. And also with the owl star, you need to select star 3 or higher. The owl will not spawn.
Here we go!
And then when you're doing, if you select 3 or higher as well, note that the owl will spawn and the fortress will also be up there, so there'll be more lag. So when I selected my star, I went back to the first star because that is less laggy. So especially when you start doing candleless, that's important, but it also makes it a little less laggy when you're going for wild blue here. I think I hesitated for a second right there, but
Here we go!
the slide kick there is fun. Slide kicks aren't really used too much, but that's a spot where I see it used a lot. In Womp's Fortress and in Cool Mountain here, just 2 long jumps into the... right there I did it a little bit early, but just going for 2 long jumps is how you enter the painting. So here, when you're jumping down, you want to... right where the snow kind of meets the green, like around that edge, is where you want to aim for. And then that'll like line you up so you kind of go right, and landing just kind of anywhere in that section over to the right, making sure that you're going to clear the wall down there. And you retain speed fairly easily. You don't want to hit A, you just want to slide off. Sometimes you'll hit here and you won't bounce. That's fine, only loses like a few seconds. I meant to long jump there into the star, but that's essentially the same speed.
Let's go!
Alright, here, so I do this star rather than cannonless in this tutorial, because cannonless say is a very, very fast star. However, a lot of people will be resetting on cannonless, so if you want to run cannonless, go for it and you're confident doing it in runs. I just find this one a lot more forgiving, especially when you're first starting out. So here you can just aim just to run right in the middle, and then you slide down for a second, and then as you can see, you just go to the right, and you'll go right for that right there. And then see right twice.
Here we go!
Also, with the menu, I've been doing save. You'll see people doing save and don't continue. That save, I believe it's just a few frames, so it does add up over the course of the run. It also makes it more likely that you save and quit. So again, that if you want to opt for that, it saves a little bit of time. But it's not necessary until high levels of play. But I also think it's just a good habit to get into. So that's really up to you, depending on if you want to risk the occasional save and quit.
Go.
Here, what's important with this jump is that you clear this lip, and once you have that, you start holding back towards, and there's a fair amount of time that you have, or a leniency that you have to get on this, and when you kick in the air, it'll negate any fall damage, and that also allows you to get back, and then you're going to hit Mario Cam, so that kind of zooms the camera back in on him. Wall kicks will work. And then at 8, you can open the first Bowser door. Yeah, so I'll save and quit. But yeah, so continue, don't save. It saves, I think it's a few frames because it doesn't lag when you save. I also did not go for Dark World Reds. Personally, I don't think it's necessary until sub 20. And when you're thinking about if you want to go for Dark World Reds, you're considering how fast you can do Dark World without Reds. And I believe that, so the slowest star that most people swap out is the elevator star in Hazy Mazy Cave. So if you're going to start doing Dark World Reds, which when you're first starting out is very, very difficult, but if you're going to be doing Dark World Reds, you want to make sure that your Dark World Reds is less than 40 seconds slower than your regular Dark World, because I believe it's 40 seconds if you do the elevator star, including the stage reentry and the menuing, it's about 40 seconds. So you want to be able to do Dark World Reds about like less than 40 seconds slower than your regular Dark World. But eventually, learning Dark World Reds is important, but not really necessary early on. I know someone that has a 17 that doesn't do Dark World Reds, which I don't think most people do, but I see a lot of people go for it after sub 20. So this part can be like the most scary, I think. You can also go to the right and use the platform over there. But if you take just a moment and just assess where the platforms are, there's actually a pretty big range that you can land on. Like you have the whole platform. So it's daunting. It's probably the most difficult part of this when you have Reds too, I think. But just remember that you have a pretty large area to land on, and it's okay to just take a second to wait and like assess where they are. Right here, I went for the triple jump up the slope, and I actually didn't make it. So if you hit the button, it only takes a few more seconds, and I think it's easier and more consistent. So if you want to opt for that when you're starting out, that's fine. So right here, I went for the... Oh, I think I just didn't triple jump in time, yeah. So if you do fall down, when you're going for that, you can just side flip right here. And on this Bowser and the other Bowser, I just did small throws, and then in this Bowser and Bowser 3, I did small throws, and the reason that I did that is because, especially with the final Bowser, you can lose a lot of time missing those throws, right? I actually missed 2 throws in this run. But you can lose a lot of time missing throws, and I see a lot of people when they're starting off, they'll spin Bowser, and they'll go like 7, 8, 9, 10, and then they'll throw, and it can be difficult to get the distance and the accuracy when you're starting out, so I think it's much better when you're starting to just do a throw that gets them closer to the bomb, and then go for a second throw, especially on the third Bowser. But again, that's a matter of preference. It is faster, obviously, if you can get the initial throw and the spin. Here, if you when you hit exit course, no matter where you are, you end up here. So in 16 star, we do that to go back to the carpet. The carpet, the lobby. Here, I didn't go for when I do the talent star, I didn't go for going up over the sand dune and then going into the pillars. I just went to the left because, again, that star is really, really fun. I think it takes a little bit to get down when you're first starting off. I went for the triple jump over this. And you can triple jump here. I missed that, but that's fine if you just hop. It loses like, I don't know, a second or a little more. Another option too, if you want, which is a little slower, is you can grab the box and go up to the left and get over. Using this strategy, you want to make sure you go to the left a little bit, and this can be kind of difficult to get at first, is the triple jump, but when you do the first mini jump, you want to make sure that you're not landing Mario on the slope. You want to make sure you're landing before the slope starts going up, and then you can get the double jump, and then you can get the triple jump over. So right here, that was kind of sloppy. I meant to long jump over this. I almost died. If you do get stuck in the stand, if you hit spam A and get a kick in there when you can, that's the one of the fastest ways to get out.
Go.
Here I went for the dives for each of the reds. That doesn't save that much time. I don't think it's that difficult to get, but it can be kind of difficult to angle it properly. So it's also fine if you get the hang of the movement to just kind of run through the red coins. This saves a little bit of time to dive. And something that can happen when you dive, which actually happened in this run, is I go under the star because I don't get enough speed to fall into it. So there's also, that can occasionally happen. So right there, just missed it. And then I just do that and land in the star, so I lost a few seconds. Which will happen sometimes, and you can just fall back onto the star.
Go.
Here, the boulder, I had what they call bad RNG. So this boulder will, I don't know the exact odds, but I know it's fairly uncommon. Definitely less than half of the time. The boulder will sometimes be to the middle. Sometimes it will be on the left, going directly for you. There is a way to, like if you go to the right and dive and get around it, that's the backup for that. That's pretty hard to get. So a lot of the times, if you want to practice that and get better at it, that's useful. But sometimes it's just going to hit you, and you take the little bit of a time loss. But most of the time, again, I don't know the exact ratio, but most a significant amount of the time, you won't get the boulder coming to the left here. And it's just long jumps when you're going through. Once you go off the platform, you can just do long jumps, and that's is pretty fast.
Here we go!
So at 12 stars, Toad will appear, which is a very fast star. So here what I did is, when you're under stars, as I said at the beginning, you hit AZ to ground pound. So I hit ZA and I backflipped. So try not to do that, but look at that height. Just backflipping on demand. Imagine backflipping by accident. Alright, so here I like doing a slide kick because it kills the scuttlebug there.
Here we go! Let's go!
So a lot of people on that star will go off to the side of the elevator. I've always just found it easier to kick there and hold back when you kick, and then you can run straight forward. I just missed the elevator a lot when it's coming down. That's again a preference thing depending on what you're more comfortable with. And you want to make sure when you're doing this, so you can't really see Mario there. Whoops, I went a little too far. But you want to make sure that you're a fair amount to the right. If you're too close to the middle, you won't clip through. So you want to make sure you're to the right side of the elevator, and that'll push you through.
Here we go!
So here, if you use this movement, you can catch Mips before he gets all the way to the corner. I didn't, just to show the backup, which I think is just it's the easiest way to catch him. So I would have been able, if I had dived right there, I probably could have grabbed him. So with this, if you see where Mario's right hand is, right to the right of that, there's two dots on the wall, and then to the left of the two dots, in between Mario's right hand and the two dots, there's a line. You want to look at that line and line yourself up with it and side flip and dive, or just dive. That's how to consistently get Mips in that corner, and you'll see that I do that here. So I make sure the camera's straight, I dive, and you see like that. See that line through the two dots? I'm right in line with that line. Maybe a little bit to the left, but you have a little bit of leeway. And I actually kind of almost missed him, but yeah, because I wasn't far enough to the right, and see how he was to the right. But Mario's head right now is kind of like that one dot is in front of him, so a little bit to the right is optimal, but that's how you get the backup there, and it's pretty easy once you're comfortable with it. So when you're holding MIPS, doing little hops is a little bit faster. So I'm not going to do a whole tutorial on MIPS clip. There's a lot of really great ones, but the basic thing you want to focus on with MIPS is you usually do latitude neutral cam, which you can see in the bottom right is the camera. You want to move slowly, and you want to have the camera facing straight on. You want to move slowly, and you want to drop MIPS or crouch as soon as you see the shadow disappear. And the first time I actually did it incorrectly, and let me see if I can figure out why. So here you see on the right, yep, so I just went over a little bit too much, I believe, with that one, and then I'm not going to be able to grab them. So just flip out. And then, so you can see how MIPS has his own shadow, and then see it disappears right there, and then I'm like, oh, so I put him down, and then I'm able to turn and grab him. Right here, you hit down and A, and that'll get you through the door. You can also turn around and put him down, which is just a little bit slower. Here, same thing, shadow gone, put down, and I missed a little bit, shadow gone, put down, got through. And to avoid talking to the door, as they say, where it's like, you need 30 stars. You pause, and then you can jump, and then, as you see in the controller, hit kick. So I kicked, and then I kind of, rather than moving and activating the door, I avoided that right there. Swimming time. So let me see if I can try to explain swimming quickly. So with swimming, there is a way to swim quickly. More quickly, is that a word? Quicker, more quickly. So whenever Mario's hands get, there's kind of an audio cue and a visual cue, but you kind of just get over time, like the whoop up, the whoop up, the whoop up. You'll see where his hands are, when to hit A, and that makes it so he's kind of swimming more fluidly. And if you miss a swim and miss the time, he'll kind of stop for a second, which I do at one point in this. There's also a lot of lag that comes up on the N64. There's a way to reduce the lag, but for the sake of just making it a beginner-friendly video, I didn't include that. So here you can see it starts lagging pretty bad. Right here it starts lagging pretty bad. See, and see how he like stopped and he was like, zoop. That's because I missed a swim. So he just kind of stopped and he was like floating for a second. So the fast way to do this is to hop up on the flipper thingy of the submarine and then do a side flip back. This only loses a few seconds, and I find it a lot more consistent. So you can hop up and triple jump, or you can hop up, and if you miss that, you can always just silly kick. So hold A and kick up on the submarine on the back. But this is more consistent, I find, than doing the side flip.
Here we go!
And then this, if you do a jump and dive in, you can not ledge grab, but again, I wouldn't worry too much about whether or not you're ledge grabbing there, because again, the time save is so minimal, but if you can, then yeah, then awesome. Alright, so in Fire Sea, Fire Sea is very difficult starting off. I've seen so many people when they first start, they die a lot. They die a lot in Fire Sea. I think again, when you're starting off, if you can focus on just getting through without like burning Mario's booty and and losing lives off the stage, that's really what you need to focus on starting off. But it's important to know that there are what they call cycles in this level. So that's when the platform at the end will be at different heights, and if you get earlier cycles, you'll save maybe like 6 or 7 seconds if you get to it early enough. But again, this will showcase some kind of fairly easy movement to get the normal cycle. And I think the most important thing in this is focusing on getting through without getting burned excessively. But this showcases some of the like basic movement. So it can be important to grab that heart just in case you bounce and you burn a few times, but using the lava there can be quick. This part's really hard when you're first starting out, is getting the wall kicks there. I did the movement I did here because I knew that I could still make the cycle and not do some of the more advanced movement. So right here is where this is the cycles that are usually talked about. So here there can be a lot of lag too. Again, when you're at a certain point in the game, if you, depending on how you use the camera, right now it's rendering a lot of stuff, so you have all that stuff in the background, which makes it lag a little bit more. You can usually, with a pretty safe bet, just if you're going quickly, just long jump across this. I think on this I didn't hit any lava. I got lucky. But usually, even if you hit lava, you're able to bounce onto the platform up there. So like even if you hit there, you can go ha 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 ha, go one ha 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 ha, and then land on the platform. Grab the heart, and then this can be scary, but you have plenty of space to bounce and get up there. And again, if you grab the heart, you're still looking at, you have an extra bounce if you need it. So here you just want to make sure you get over Bowser so you come down and he doesn't damage you. And there's actually a lot of, so once the platform stops and you see Bowser just start to move, or right before he starts, when the platform starts bouncing, you can grab his tail. There's actually a pretty big window. Like he could be turned like almost 90 degrees, and as long as you touch his tail before, it'll still register it as a tail grab. And for this one, I didn't do one of the small throws because he's pretty close to that bomb. And doing a small throw can make it so you can't get around him because he's too close to the edge.
Here we go!
Here we go! So sometimes you'll see people jump up and like go through the staircase. That saves something like, it's less than a second. I think it's like 0.5 or 0.6 seconds, unless you're doing the pro strats where they get up there, switch the camera, long jump. But for me, I think it saves 0.6 seconds. So if you want to learn that, feel free. But it's not really, again, it's not a huge time save to learn how to do that strat. And it saves time really only if you don't get caught on stuff when you're doing that. So you can just run right up the stairs. Alright, so BLJs. I mean, there's a lot of different approaches, a lot of different series people have to BLJs. I would watch a tutorial specifically for them. But I think my take on it is that it takes a lot of practice. It's very rhythmic, so some people, I think it's like 450 BPM, people use a metronome. Really a lot of getting good BLJs, again, is just, it's practice and knowing the right speed to mash at, so you don't necessarily have to mash really fast. Some people will just mash really fast and go for that strategy. I think you get it more consistent if you get the timing down. So this one, I got it, I think, at the last long jump I had. But I recommend doing Mario Cam C down. It makes it easier to go back down if you miss it. Another tip that people often have is, I think I missed it here, but if you can catch on the first step, that can make it a little bit easier. And with getting BLJs, it can be super, super frustrating. Like, so many people lose runs. Sometimes you can lose like minutes to it when you're first starting off and you're not practicing them a lot. Even if you have practiced a lot, you can still lose like up to a minute or even more than a minute doing them. They're not very consistent, but they will get more consistent over time. I promise that they do get more consistent over time. I used to lose minutes sometimes to this when I first started off in runs, and while I still lose a fair amount of runs with them, I can pretty consistently get it on like within the first 3 attempts going up the staircase. Sometimes I get it on the first one that I did in this run, sometimes the second. So it does get easier over time, and it can be frustrating, but it really is a matter of just getting practice, understanding the rhythm, making sure the camera is facing up towards the door, holding towards the door when you're doing the backwards long jump, and make sure that when you start pressing A's right before Mario's booty is hitting the stair. But BLJs can be a pain. So after you get through the door, sometimes you'll launch back to the clock. If you do that and you push right on the thumbstick, you can actually slide to the stairs, and that can be quick. For this, I hit Lakitu Cam and then Mario Cam, and that kind of, again, reorients it. And then jump up here. You can do like a side flip up here, or you can just do that. Side flip saves like a little bit of time, less than a second. So with this staircase, you can kind of keep going back up because it's infinite. So you can kind of keep going like Yahoo, Yahoo, and you can keep attempting the BLJ. You want to make sure that you're facing straight on. If you go too far to the left, you can clip into wet dry rolled, so try to not be too far to the left and be more in the center. Be aware of if you're starting to move too far up. So I got that one pretty quick. And I make sure I'm holding back when I'm doing that. Sometimes if I get that, I'll go whoop right into the pit. Here I went right behind it. And we're in Bowser in the Sky. So again, when you're first starting out, doing the triple jump here, it's good to practice, but it's very difficult. It could be, well, it's pretty difficult. It can be a run killer. So go for it, learning it. If you're confident, do it, but I wouldn't worry about it early in playing. I don't know the exact time save, but again, it's only a few seconds. So here, again, the jump kicks over the blocks, it saves quite a lot of time. Very, very difficult to get consistently though, so use it when you're comfortable. If you want, practice it as you will. I didn't opt for it because, again, I find for people who are just starting the game, it's not feasible to do that and run, so I just went for the elevator. No shame in the elevator. Goomba. So with the breeze, once you're in the breeze, do not jump. If you jump when the breeze is blowing at you, you'll fly back. So I long jump there to get some momentum, some speed moving forward, and then if you're moving forward for enough, you can dive, if you have enough speed. If you don't have enough speed, you'll just punch and get pushed back, so it's fine to just like run straight too. I almost fell down the stairs, so like, ooh, but I didn't. Alright, so with Bowser, if you're tighter, closer to him, you can spin quicker before he sees you. You can do it faster than that. That was just a little bit easier than going for the fastest way. So again, with this, I just did a small throw and then another throw because it does lose a little time, but it's very difficult when you're starting off to get consistent, accurate, long enough Bowser throws. So this is really, it's fine to do this. It'll probably save you time, honestly, when you're starting off to just do a little throw, to do 2 little throws and trying to consistently get the long throws, because if you do that little throw, you're close enough that you're very, very consistently going to be able to hit. So I do that again. Right. And then I know obviously where the platform is going to be dropping. When this third one drops, I wouldn't recommend doing what I did here actually and just kind of going for a small one, because you need to kind of see where the star ends up falling. So I kind of almost flew him off. But again, doing that small throw, and I missed 2 throws. Of course, I did it on purpose to demonstrate that everyone missed throws. So the current 70 star world record by Ouija has a missed throw, and the first 137 by Liam has a missed throw. So this is just a demonstration of the inevitable missed throws that will happen, of course. That was a lot of cope, huh? I was frustrated that I missed these because the run was going well, but that was fine. And with spins, it's not necessarily how many times you spin them, it's just as if you're getting the stick movement fast enough. So that's what's going to get you the momentum. I'm pretty sure too, if you spin and then you hold the stick in one direction, it'll keep the momentum you have, so you can take a second and orient and then throw Bowser. Alright, and that's the 2118, which will hopefully be a good year. So yeah, so I tried to make that again more beginner friendly. There are a ton of good resources that I already mentioned that can help people with runs. Feel free to leave some comments, to join Discord, shoot me a message, because I really like getting feedback. If there's any ways you think I could make this like a more concise video or a more concise tutorial, or kind of explain things better or make it more accessible to beginners, I'd really appreciate that. I'm open to all and any constructive criticism, to feedback. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. I hope you found it helpful. I'm SoSapien on Twitch and YouTube. Smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon. And Super Mario 64 is like a really wonderful community, and I'm super grateful that I've had so much support starting off. So just shoutouts to everyone who keeps that running and makes it so welcoming. Bye guys.